I always wanted to go to the Chopin competition because when I was very young, I was selected as one of the Soviet, at that time Soviet participants 10 years ago. But Polish secretary said that I was a little bit too young to take part, and because I was only 16, and at that time the rate should have been 17. And I always dreamed since I was 5 years old, and when people were winning Chopin competitions, and how fantastic it is to be here and to hear so much of Chopin, and to go to the Kirk of St. Cross and to play Chopin in his native country, visit all these fantastic historic places of Poland. And I decided to do it, although it was a little bit risky because, you know, in case I fail.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let me tell you something. Ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't dare to come out here if I knew there was the slightest chance for the pianist to appear on the stage. On the 19th of October 1995, at the final session of the International Frédéric Chopin competition, the jury decided not to grant the first prize, but to award 2 second prizes to Philippe Giussiano and ALEXEI SULTANOV. $20,000 and a silver medal each.
I got lucky in the Van Claveren International Piano Competition in Fort Worth, Texas, which I won. And since that, I've been playing almost all over the world and in many great concert halls and met a lot of fantastic musicians and fantastic audiences. But I still thought that there was some empty spot in my life, which was the Chopin competition. It was a little bit funny because 3 years ago I came to Warsaw to play with Warsaw Philharmonic, Rachmaninoff's Second Concerto, and you know, I was treated like a professional musician and an artist, and now here I am like a schoolboy entering the competition.
The artist will play on Steinway number 90. Alexei Sultanov, Russia.
Of course, Chopin is a very special competition. A lot of people say that if you fail in the Chopin competition, it doesn't make you a bad piano player. It only makes, it only shows that your Chopin interpretation can be dealt with. But to me, any piano player who cannot play Chopin is a bad piano player, because Chopin is the poet of fortepiano. And if you don't have none of the Chopin repertoire, not even one mazurka, to me, you are not a pianist. All the pianism, all the feelings of piano, completely opened up instrument is in the Chopin music. And of course his pianism is extremely fantastic. You feel extremely comfortable playing Chopin. Of course you have to practice, because his technique also a lot concentrates on these two last fingers, which are very weak in your hand. Schumann was trying to achieve this independence, and he completely broke his hands and couldn't play after all. Of course, the technique is only a service for what you feel and what you want to express and how you want to present Chopin's music. So to me, it's very important when you play Chopin not to play yourself very much, but first is the music of Chopin. And it's not like I, with a big letter, play Chopin very small, with a small letter. It's absolutely backwards. I, very little, nothing, play Chopin. This is the idea. course, you have to connect it with your own personality, with your own how you feel this music, how you interpret this music. And of course, the word interpretation for the music, I don't think it's the correct word, because interpreter is like a translator. And you don't have to translate music, it's there, you just have to play it. Chopin was romantic, and romanticism to me, first of all, means freedom. Freedom of feelings, freedom of everything. So, and of course, Chopin's music is about life. And the people who don't experience life completely or know the life only from books will play like library servicemen, because it's very important that you feel things that you play and what these pieces are about. For example, Revolutionary Etude, there are so many crazy things happening in the world. For example, in Russia, we witnessed that horrible scene in the parliament building and how many people died, and all these shots of tanks and machine guns and death everywhere. And it was the same thing in Poland when he wrote this etude. A lot of people say that when you play this too loud, too fast, and too expressive, this is not a Chopin style, and so forth. But he wanted it to sound this way, because Poland is not a small town somewhere outside big city. Poland is a huge country, and with a lot of people who were expressing their angers and their furious feelings, and their, of course, their patriotism, incredible, very proud Polish patriotism, which I love. This piece is about this, and of course, if you play it softly, and as conservative people, Chopinists say that very in style, this is absolutely ridiculous, because his idea was not to present this. His idea was to present the explosion that the whole world will experience. The people which heard my approach to this, they loved it the most. So this is the reason I'm doing it this way. Of course, it's no problem for me, and just calm myself down, play nicely, like you can never be sure when you create something in the music. But my hopes were true, and because the people which heard my approach to this, they loved it the most. You cannot study Chopin music without studying Poland as a country. And of course there are always different pictures come to mind when you play, because Chopin is always about singing, it's about expression. And even if there is a very fast passage, it has to sing. It cannot just go, very dry and blurred. Every little note has to be alive. All the world is shown in his music reflects all of the people's mind, not only, well, of course, Polish, but I think all people all over the world. Nature gave us kind of the same senses to feel, and that's why Chopin's music is so universal. He is so talented and blah blah, but we miss Chopin. And what exactly is this conservative style? Because I don't think it exists. Everybody has his own approach to the music, and what I did, I think, like ballad or mazurkas or studies, it was in very much, to me, in very much Chopin's conservative style, a sonata, and and preludes. But of course, when you play things like Polonaise, which is tremendous work, which which represents this also again this Polish character with this kind of dance. You judge yourself all the time, and I'm the worst critic of myself because I always not satisfied with what I do, and I always try to develop it more and more, and I don't think there is any limit. You study, you learn all your life, and you die being an idiot. Everybody knows about it, but you have to make things as perfect as you can. You don't want to play just yourself. You don't want to do vulgar things. You don't want to correct Chopin. Chopin is already perfect. Although having only this conservative approach, we make these performances of that way extremely boring. Of course we have to respect the style and elegance and so forth, but our main goal is to play for people, and not just for group of specialists, for the people. Of course you have to know the rules, but Beethoven says the rules are there only to avoid them. If the jury decides before, this is the standard, and they come with this standard to judge 140 people, and then if they already gave the first prize to standard, why to have a competition? Why do you need a competition if you already know the way how it should be done? There is no way how it should be done. Everybody's got his own way, and if you compare Rubinstein, Chopin, which is fantastic, and Horowitz's Chopin, which is absolutely different but still incredibly fantastic, and Richter's Chopin, and Van Cliburn plays Chopin. It's absolutely totally different musician. There is no standard of playing Chopin. Chopin is totally free and very universal. These words, of course, you have to respect them, but they are very dangerous. Tradition, conservative approach, standard, this is very dangerous. When you have this dogmatism in your brain, then you already made up your mind. Your mind is not open to what people create on stage. To me, competition it's a competition. Of course, you have to practice and you have to present your pieces in the maximum imaginable technically perfect way. But also competition, to me, talent wins the competition, which means that the person who really grabs the audience and makes the audience breathe with him. Sometimes, of course, many people, older people, might not accept it very well because they don't want to see that they are very against this, for example, interpretation. But this pianist does it so well that he makes believe everybody that this is also a fantastic way of doing things, and he finds himself also believing this, and the two personalities in this person start fighting each other. You are fighting with yourself, and of course it only creates anger in this person, and that's why and the conservatives, they wanted to believe in it, but there was something that holded them, and this feeling you know, it doesn't do you positive emotions. It actually creates a little bit negative emotions. The level, of course, was very high, and musically and technically. Some great musicians who did not make it to the finals, but always competition, any competition always has the blood. Some blood has to be spilled, because it's a question, it's, to me, this unbelievable system of points will never work, because the rule is you have to get like whatever number of points to get the first prize. Well, of course, and the jury is in control of these points. Some jury can put less points and they're in total control, even if they're not honest. You know, and they can do a lot of inflict a lot of damage to the performer. And also the problem is that when there is a real talent, then the jury is always divided, always divided. Some love it and some hate it. But if there is nobody in the middle, this is already fantastic. This person has great chance to win, because there is always arguments, tremendous arguments, if there is really a person who touches people's heart. People who played very nice and clean, you know, and with too much to express, they will receive equal amount of points. And the danger would be that these real winners will go together with these people who just, there is always that danger, that this medium will somehow end up in the first rows, which is absolutely incredible. Judgment should be always open discussion. Open discussion. Secret voting, you know, it's for election of president, you know, election of governors, it's okay. But you cannot judge music by using these mathematical points. Mozart would have been shocked if he would have, or Bach, if he would have seen what he started and what absolutely absurd it is now, when a lot of composers, and sometimes very famous composers, are using mathematics to count the logical position of the notes, of the music symbols, just in order to be correct in the music. It's just like to count, the jury counts what you have to do to play Chopin perfectly. But this is not the music anymore, you know, this is, they don't hear in their head what they, you know, they experiment. Open discussion gives the possibility really for people to express in front of each other and to make it more clear, very honest, very sincere. Because in these arguments, in the discussion, the real truth can be born. You know, of course, it depends also on the ability of the jury. And of course, with this kind of jury, that some people probably met Chopin personally, and Clapping competition is an incredibly musical competition, and you have to present all styles of music. You have to really be more universal. And Chopin is extremely also musical competition, but it's a special competition which only requires for you to play Chopin. And for me, the key to win this competition and to show is to show, okay, Chopin and tradition, great, but also to show your many musical sides in the Chopin also. For example, the way I played first round, I played a little bit like this and a little bit, you know, very in tradition, keeping the tradition. But when there is time for revolutionary etude, you have to make a revolution. And I think at the end of this competition, I sort of did, because I broke a little bit by the jury admitted by awarding me the top prize of this competition that I still. My interpretation of Chopin has the right to exist. I would have been a judge in this competition, I would have looked for a true communicator, for people who touch people, because people don't need standard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alexei Sultanov was to play. Unfortunately, he has informed organizers that tonight he will be unable to perform. Having talked to him 3 hours ago, I entirely disagreed with his decision. However, he has asked me to convey to you this message. Please tell the Warsaw audience that I will try to come as soon as possible, since I love them.
I was very not sure if I should do it or not to appear in the first gala performance of this competition. The problem was, to me, that I don't mind having a second or whatever prize, but the problem to me was the splitting of the second prize. And because the people was also a little bit shocked by this decision. Because if I get, it doesn't matter if it's first or second or 10th, but it should be my own prize. Because you cannot compare two different styles. And of course, this is what got me a little bit, confused. And my also purpose not to appear in this performance was to show what it would be like. Some people said that this is not a professional way to behave. This is not, that is terrible for your colleagues, and and so forth and so forth. But most people supported this idea incredibly well, to make it clear to the jury, to send a message to the jury and the officials that there has been made a very bad and big mistake. The purpose of the competition, of course, is to be extremely polite and, of course, respect, to be good sport and everything. But the purpose of the competition is to show that you can do things better than the others. That's the way I think it's a competition. That's the word, what it means. Freedom to me is not anarchy, but freedom is important. According to the rules, and to me, the audience also can make a rule. And all the rounds that I performed here in this competition, it was, as a rule, it was very, very big difference from the others. Of course, people can also go a little too far, want a little too much of the excitement, and of course, the tradition always should be kept, but it's not the first thing. The first thing is talent, the first thing is contact with people, and the first straight contact with their hearts through the music or through some other arts, painters, architecture, sculpture, any art, and of course through any kinds of music. Then if you have a direct contact with people, they will love you, and of course you will love them in return. And if somebody tries to stop this, this is a criminal. I think this is a crime to do. I could not, it was very hard for me not to, when I was watching this concert on television, not to just run and go, because I missed this audience so much, and I felt very guilty in front of people that I'm not there. But still, to me, if I would have been there, it would have been clear that I agree with all the results, that I agree, and all so forth. But now that I did not appear in the gala performance was absolutely not a political thing. It was, let's even say, emotional thing. Because when we are dealing with audience and when we are playing music, we're dealing with pure emotions. And when there injustice is done, you cannot just relax and accept it. You have to strike back. You have to attack back. Otherwise, the truth will never be protected. Sharing prize, okay, jury wants to make a point, I'm on the same level with everybody else, I don't have to do anything. In the perfect meta, I didn't do anything, and everything showed that it was not true. I was very afraid that the audience might not understand this move, and they will not receive me as well as they did before. But thanks God I was very, very wrong. When I disagree with something, I say it, and in any country. I don't care if it's in America or in Poland or in Russia. If I don't like it, I say it, and some people like me and some people hate me for this. Of course, everybody cares about his reputation and image, but to me, the music is the most important thing. Whatever kind of image you receive, forget it, okay? You cannot help it. But I think it will affect my image as a, just a young, kind of passionate musician, because this competition is also very serious, and it's one of the biggest in the world, as Van Klavin, Chopin, Tchaikovsky. I cannot feel not at home now in Warsaw, because I fell in love with these people, and they did the same with me. And we have a fantastic contact, and we understand perfectly each other. But the most important thing is not that, please. The most important thing is to love people and to love what you do for people, and to record CDs, of course, and tapes so people can listen and have fun with it and stop it and then go back and listen to it, and or to get absolutely angry at you and, oh, listen again, this is terrible how he plays this, listen to it again, and thanks God we are living in such a fantastic time where there's so much great technology. And oh, by the way, I received this DCC recorder as my prize from the audience, and my paper said that this award goes to the most favorite pianist in the in the 13th Chopin competition. I think that was my first prize. I think that was my winning. So because people is the most important thing. And please make music and play for people. Thank you.
ALEXEJ SULTANOV, Rosja.